So as Ron said, my name is Adi. My prime expertise, I'm an expert in algorithms and operation research, graduated from the Israeli Technion and from MIT. And in the last 3 years, I'm CEOing Velotix. Velotix, we actually a US-based corporation with several subsidiaries, including in Tel Aviv. So Velotix is a data security platform. And just a second, I can't move the slides, just... I have a technical problem here. Okay, so sorry about that. So Velotix, we are a data security platform, and we are using a primarily deep learning method and recently Gen AI to discover sensitive data, to auto-tag it, and to enforce what we call a policy in order to secure sensitive data while is used by data consumers. When I say policy, what I mean by policy is that we are using these deep learning methods and as I said recently, Gen AI, to build for the organization the data protection policy. And the data protection policy is an entity that comprises with rules, regulation, legislation, privacy-related aspects, everything that an organization needs to apply on sensitive data in order to ensure full compliance and minimum risk. We started the journey in the financial industry and already working with several top-tier industries. Going through or develop relations with the industry, we found out that regardless the size of the organization, sometimes the level of maturity is not standard, or there are several different levels of maturity that we came across with, and therefore we split our system to three main pillars. In the first pillar, we are connecting to the organization databases, either on-prem, private cloud, or through our hosting solution. And we crawl databases and we run the discoverability, which means, and here we also using several deep learning methods because discovery is actually a statistical process. And we identify sensitive data in organization. It could be credit card numbers, personal name, and so on. And following that, we are auto-tagging the sensitive data, meaning that we create the data fabric. At that point, we provide the organization with several nice dashboards, which can present or provide indications about the risk level, which table or instance contain the highest amount of sensitive data, and so on. And I'll show some examples, including we identify at this point anomalies. Anomalies meaning that, for example, a person belongs to a group and she has permission to access or see or manipulate several types of data, but on the other hand, under several other circumstances, this person is not entitled to receive the information, and therefore anomaly is created. The second pillar is what we call the data democratization, or actually it's a terminology by Gartner. The data democratization is actually enable every person within or between organization, outside of the organization, to request, by the way, it could be a machine. It could be a Gen AI machine that is looking to extract data from another database or from a table. And then this kind of access is orchestrated or complied by Velotix. So we identify several parameters, could be tens or sometimes hundreds of variables. So we treat it as a vector of restriction that relates to the policy that I mentioned prior to that, but also to other rules or restrictions. and we decide which policy must be applied on a cell level. It's a very fine-grained granularity, and then we apply the relevant PETs, the privacy enforcement technology, meaning we mask, we hash, we anonymize, and at several situations, we even replace the real data with the synthetic data, so we will be able to provide this data, expose it, but still keep the risk minimal in the organization. Obviously, we monitor each type of data, who is using, who received the data, and so on. In the third level, we create the organization standards in terms of regulation. So in one click, you can visualize how your organization deploy GDPR or CCPA or any type of any other organization. This slide, and I like this slide because it basically summarizes the Gen AI cloud platforms comparison between GCP, Azure, and AWS. And we are using Gen AI in Velotix in a way that based on the communication with data owners, data steward, CDO, and so on, we enable we build for the organization the data as the data protection policy, and also the communication with the users is smooth, very intuitive. We have a customer, for example, multi-country with subordinate to several regulators, so we can translate discussions promptly using the Gen AI. In Velotix, we mostly utilize the foundation model, so Gen AI that relates to LLM model, which is basically understand and create text, and some other functionalities that we use in order to, and this is how we apply or implement Gen AI methods within a data security platform. I would like to go through a case study, a little bit deep dive into a solution. This is an account that we recently signed. Is actually one of the largest banks in Asia Pacific. As I said, we started our journey with the financial industry, and the first the design partner 2 years ago was Deutsche Bank, and the main vision or challenges that we came across during the sales process before we sign is number one, a very high risk in terms of compliance processes, and this immediately results with penalties and fines. If you release or share data which is not comply, you expose sensitive data like people's name, credit card numbers, addresses, and so on. And when you get audited, mostly quarterly, then you are entitled to fines. I spoke about it, but this was a clear request, democratize the environment. And it means that everybody can access the data, share the data. But with Velotix, I'll try to metaphorize it. So we provide them with some kind of glasses where these glasses restrict any sensitive information, so everyone can use, by the way, promptly and efficiently, right? You don't have to go through a compliance process when you send requests, papers, checking manually everything, heavy labor activity like Active Directory, RBAC, and so on. And so this brings me to the third challenge, which is the system has to be almost fully automatic. Why not fully automatic? Because I need the interaction with the expert, with the data owner, steward, and so on, in order to learn changes in regulation, to learn changes in rules, to learn new use cases. The interaction helps the system to establish a reinforcement learning. Several technical challenges in this account. We connected it's a private cloud on-prem. It's not our host, which is very common in the banking industry. We integrate with Snowflake, with Cloudera, Teradata, by a few others, but these are the main. Multiple data catalog. Data catalog is normally So we integrate with Hive, which is part of Cloudera, Atlas, and few others. Multiple restriction, several countries, multi-countries, but the organization did not have any documented or digital data protection policy. So basically, we have to build it on the fly. You start working with the system. At the beginning, the level of automation is relatively low because the system needs to learn. It takes about 4 to 6 weeks until we increase the level of automation to roughly 80%. And the fourth challenge was everything around privacy and security was quite a long process. I explained previously because it was mostly manual with the compliance people. Let me show you a short movie. It's about 2 minutes about the discovery, or the first layer in Velotix is the discoverability and auto tagging. A very quick one. Again, this is from the customer's environment.
Your data journey with Velotix starts with the discovery phase. In order to properly protect your data, it's imperative to first understand what data exists and where it is located within your databases. This video explains how to jumpstart your data discovery process. We'll start at the Database tab, located on the left side of the platform. Connect your database by clicking Add. Choose your database and input the proper credentials. Test the connection to make sure the credentials are accurate, and when you receive confirmation, click Connect. Once your database is properly connected, the discovery process is triggered, taking place in 2 phases. The first phase involves discovering the structures that hold your data, mapping all of the schemas and tables that exist in the database. The second phase is the discovery of the data classification that resides within the tables and schemas. When both phases are complete, the status changes from discovering to healthy, and your schemas are mapped below. Velotix automatically begins auto-tagging your schemas and tables to discover the type of data that each column contains. Click on a table and you'll see the tags Velotix assigned to each column. If needed, here you can take manual action by adding or deleting a tag. Add a tag by clicking on the plus button, and delete a tag by simply clicking on it. Adding your own tags makes the data searchable within your organization when you're ready to grant access to it. While some tags are clearly PII, such as credit card numbers or last names, other tags can be more ambiguous. Adding a business context further qualifies the decision to protect your data. To add a business context, click the plus button. Finally, go to your configurable dashboard for a centralized view of the classification details to give you a simplified insight on what resides in your table. Track metrics such as classification details or how many of your tables and columns are tagged. With data discovery, you've created a visibility layer, ensuring you can make truly data-driven decisions with confidence that you remain compliant throughout.
Another short movie will explain further about the second stage of Velotix, which, as I mentioned, the data.
Now that you know where your data resides, it's time to use it. Empower your entire organization with self-service data access. In this video, we will learn about Velotix's self-service data access solution. Our use case is a data analyst who needs to access a specific set of customer retention data in order to complete a project. Here's how she gets it. Your data access request begins by creating a project, which will become the container of all of the data that is needed for the specific use case and analysis. Go to the Projects tab and click Add. Choose a name, description, and add a business justification. You have the option to add an expiration date to the project, meaning once the date is passed, access to the requested data will automatically be revoked. After clicking Save, add the tables that you'd like to request. Thanks to the discovery process, your data was classified and auto-tagged and is now searchable, meaning you can easily locate the data you need. Search for your table, use the preview to ensure that it is the correct table, and then click Select. Once all of the relevant tables have been added, request access to your selected tables by clicking the Request Access button. Anyone in the organization who needs access can request it, not just the person who created the project. The workflow is automatically selected. A workflow is the way your organization defines the process of approving access to data. A A typical workflow includes a consumer filling a form to request access, an evaluation of the policy by our patented AI engine, and a step for the approver to review the suggested policy-based access control. The workflow is entirely configurable to fit the needs of your organization. Next, choose if you want individual access or access for multiple users. The multiple users option enables you to select other members of your team who also need access. Now, click Send Request. Input a brief description for the purpose of your request and indicate whether you intend to share the data. The request will be automatically routed to the data approver. The Velotix AI engine provides the data owner with all of the anonymization techniques that are needed to approve the data request according to the internal and external regulations and the attribute that the user has according to the user Active Directory. Anonymization includes row and column level masking, partial masking, hashing, and encryption. The approver will have one screen to see all the different anonymization that is needed to approve data access. If you'd like to change certain privacy controls, you can do that by clicking the drop-down menu in the Action column and selecting your preferred anonymization method. Our AI engine learns from these changes or exceptions and will apply the knowledge for the next data request. Click the Finish button to approve the access request. Once the request is approved, a preview link is sent to the requester. Click Preview to see an example of what resides in the table and how the data is actually masked. This is just a visualization and cannot be exported. Velotix provisions secure data access back to your database or your BI tool.
Ron, I have maybe 1 or 2 minutes left, so I will...
Yeah, we've got about 1 minute left, so if you could summarize, Adi, that would be great. Very informative videos. We just need to move it along.
All right, sure. Basically, just to summarize, so in the install and discover, we do have several dashboard which can easily visualize the situation and the organization in terms of sensitive data. We, in addition, in the second stage, we have also the ability to create what we are using XAI to explain why the engine decide upon a specific or certain policy to apply on. This dashboard enabled the organization to identify or to observe which regulation is used, how many rules, and so on, in line to GDPR. I mentioned that. I will finish by that. Thank you very much, and thank you, Ron, for the kind word about the situation. We all hope for better days and peace in the area. If you have any question, or feel free to contact us. And thank you again. Was a pleasure.